Welcome to today's deep dive. I want you to take a breath.
Quick breath, yeah.
Yeah, settle in. And perhaps, just for the next few minutes, let go of the relentless momentum of your day.
Leave it at the door.
Exactly. We are venturing into some truly profound territory today, and it really requires a contemplative, almost quiet state of mind to fully absorb.
It definitely does.
Our mission today is to explore this really profound philosophical text titled The Goddess, Creation, and the Return to Her Soul Mother Love.
It's quite a title.
It is. And we're going to use it to map out the ontological mechanics, and by that I mean the literal physics of being.
The underlying structure of reality itself.
Right, exactly. We're looking at how infinite consciousness actually becomes material creation, and more importantly, how it finds its way back.
Because this isn't just some abstract theory.
No, the text presents this as a blueprint of existence itself.
What's fascinating here is that this text makes a very deliberate move away from traditional mythic storytelling.
Which we're so used to, right?
We are. We are so used to ancient myths giving us allegories and parables, sweeping narratives of gods and monsters and epic battles.
Parables that we have to decode.
Right. But this material attempts to map out the literal metaphysical structure of unity, of differentiation, and of the grand illusion we so often call loss.
Loss. Yes.
It takes these sprawling cosmic concepts and distills them into a structural reality. It explains the literal mechanics of consciousness.
That concept of loss is exactly where I want to ground this for you, the listener.
It's the perfect entry point.
Have you ever felt totally lost in the details of your life?
I mean, who hasn't?
Right. Have you ever felt completely overwhelmed by your daily roles?
The endless obligations.
The titles you carry, the functions you perform, all of it building up to the point where you feel totally disconnected from who you actually are.
Like you're just a machine running programs.
Yes, exactly. Well, today's deep dive is going to completely reframe what that feeling of being lost actually means on a cosmic level.
It's a huge shift.
We are going to look at how the entire universe experiences that exact same feeling, and why it might not be a mistake at all.
It is a massive paradigm shift. We are talking about moving from a narrative of tragic separation to one of purposeful manifestation.
Okay, let's unpack this. The text begins by confronting this deeply ingrained historical idea of the divine descending or falling.
The classic fall from grace.
Right. It mentions very specific myths that you might actually be familiar with, and we should look at them closely.
Definitely.
First, it brings up the goddess, manifesting as countless aspects in the Hindu text, the Devi Mahatmya.
Right, where she splinters herself.
She splinters herself into countless different forms to battle demons and create the world.
Which, frankly, sounds exhausting.
Very exhausting. And then it mentions the Kabbalistic concept of the Shekinah.
The divine feminine presence.
Yes, descending into exile, wandering far from her source.
Always wandering.
And it points to the Gnostic tradition, where the entity known as Sophia falls from the divine fullness. She plunges into fragmentation simply because she tried to understand the unknowable.
And for thousands of years, these specific stories have been interpreted by scholars and believers as tragedies.
That's a fall.
A catastrophic separation from the divine source.
A mistake, basically.
Right. And the text firmly rejects that interpretation. It argues that reading these stories as tragedies of a fallen divine being completely misses the point.
Misses it entirely.
The text explicitly states, and I quote, "Creation is immersion."
Creation is immersion.
That one word completely alters the landscape. It's not a fall, it's a dive.
A dive into the material. But hold on, if this goddess consciousness is infinite and all-knowing, how can she actually forget where she came from?
That's the million-dollar question.
Is the text saying she literally makes a mistake, or is this just a metaphor for human psychology?
The text pushes back against the idea of a mistake entirely. It walks us through the mechanics of this apparent forgetting. And it's really a matter of perspective. Think about the nature of infinity.
Hard to wrap your head around, but okay.
Right. But when the infinite, which is boundless and all-knowing, chooses to become particular,
To become a specific form.
a specific form, a specific moment, a specific person, its perspective naturally has to narrow.
Because it can't be everything all at once if it's focusing on one thing.
Exactly. It must limit its view to genuinely experience the particularity of that single form. To the localized consciousness, to that narrowed perspective, The limitation feels like forgetting.
And forgetting subjectively feels like a terrible loss.
You feel you have lost the vastness you once knew.
Let's translate this into an analogy to really make it click for you listening right now.
I love this analogy.
Imagine you are looking through a highly powerful microscope. You're examining a slide, and you focus intensely on a single, fascinating, complex paramecium.
Just dialing in the focus.
You adjust the dials, you zoom in, and suddenly that single-celled organism fills your entire field of vision.
It's all you can see.
In that moment of intense, absolute focus, you lose sight of the laboratory you were sitting in.
You lose sight of the building.
The city, the sky outside, all of it. Now, did the room disappear?
Obviously not.
Did you fall out of the universe? No. Your perspective just narrowed because of your intense immersion in the detail.
And the text uses this beautiful phrasing for that. It says, creation is the outward bloom of consciousness. Origin is the inward root.
The outward bloom and the inward root.
Right, so looking through that microscope isn't an act of abandonment. It is intense, localized focus, ontologically speaking.
At the level of ultimate reality.
Yes, at that ultimate level, nothing has been severed. The text tells us that the goddess does not leave her origin. She localizes within it.
Meaning the origin isn't a geographical place she traveled away from.
Exactly. The origin is the field from which every form arises. She is still entirely within the field, even if she is currently fixated on the slide under the microscope.
The outward movement of attention into multiplicity just makes the inward root less consciously felt.
But the origin is still holding the entire structure up.
So if it's just a shift in focus, how do we get so painfully stuck in that microscope view?
It's a great question.
The text provides a clear answer. It says she gets lost because she over-identifies with the roles of creation.
The doing.
Exactly, the doing. She becomes entirely absorbed in acting as the mother, the world builder, the sustainer, the warrior, the lover of forms.
She gets entirely wrapped up in what she is doing.
To bring it down to a human level, it's like when you spend so much time optimizing your digital calendar that you forget you actually have to live the life you're scheduling.
You literally become the calendar.
Or when your entire identity gets so wrapped up in being a VP of sales or a perfect parent that if you lose that title, you feel like you've literally ceased to exist.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the text is drawing a crucial fundamental distinction here between two massive cosmic forces.
What are they?
Function and love.
Function and love.
When identity attaches purely to function, to the roles, doing the building, the sustaining stillness recedes from awareness.
The background disappears.
The text explains that function acts as a dispersing force. Function disperses energy outward into multiplicity.
It's the engine of creation.
Exactly, constantly spinning out new forms, new tasks, new roles, and when you identify solely with that outward spin, you feel incredibly fragmented.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The text states that love does the exact opposite of function.
The exact opposite.
If function disperses energy outward, love gathers energy inward.
Let that sink in for a second.
The text says that love softens the contraction of individuality. It actively dissolves the illusion of separateness.
We need to clarify, though, that the text is not talking about human romantic drama.
No, it's not a rom-com.
Right. It's not talking about anxious attachment or possession or those fleeting emotional highs we so often label as love.
So how does it define it?
It explicitly defines true, pure love as essential recognition.
The central recognition.
It is a state of seeing and knowing the fundamental unity of things, completely free from the desire to own or control them.
Essential recognition. I want you to think about your own life right now.
Think about your average Tuesday.
How much of your energy is dispersed outward by identifying entirely with your functions, your job description, your daily tasks, the endless errands, the role you play in your family or your community?
We pour so much energy outward into these differentiated forms.
And it is flat out exhausting.
It really is.
What would happen if you allowed that inward gathering, softening power of essential recognition to center you?
It would change everything.
What if instead of being just a function, you allowed yourself to simply recognize the shared essence of the people and things around you?
The qualitative experience of living would shift entirely. The feeling of being a fragmented piece of a machine would give way to sensing the underlying current of coherence.
So what does this all mean for the cosmic journey? Where is this inward gathering force of love actually pulling the goddess?
The text tells us it pulls her back to her soul mother.
Her soul mother.
We must deeply deconstruct this term soul mother because it's very easy to misinterpret.
It sounds like a person.
It does. But the Soul Mother is not another being floating somewhere in space. It is not a cosmic deity sitting on a cloud waiting for her daughter to return.
So what is it?
The text defines the Soul Mother as the unconditioned field. It is the womb before manifestation. Specifically, it calls it the unfragmented ground of her own consciousness prior to division.
Let's translate that. When the text says pre-differentiated wholeness, we're basically talking about the lump of clay before the sculptor decides to make it into a coffee mug or a vase, right?
That's a great way to look at it.
Pure potential, but no specific identity yet. She is returning to the state of her own being before she applied the microscope.
That analogy holds up so well, and the imagery the text uses for this return is striking.
It really is.
It describes love as the memory thread back to origin. It is the gravitational return.
The gravitational return.
Love isn't merely an emotion here. It is quite literally the soul's homing signal.
The homing signal back to the start.
When that pure, unpossessive recognition occurs, it is the gravitational pull of unfragmented consciousness, calling back from the edges of multiplicity.
The text doesn't just leave this as a poetic metaphor either. It actually breaks down these concepts into explicit metaphysical equations.
It lays out the math of reality, basically.
It presents an ultimate ontological blueprint for us to understand exactly how reality operates. Let's walk through these because they really deserve our full attention.
Let's do it.
Equation number 1. Creation equals differentiated expression.
This is the starting point. It is the infinite expressing itself as many different unique things.
So if the Soul Mother is pure white light, creation is the prism that shatters that light into a billion different colors.
Every color is necessary, every color is beautiful, but it is differentiated.
Okay, equation number 2. Loss equals identification with differentiation.
This is the crux of human suffering right here.
It really is.
Loss isn't something going missing. It's simply the mistake of believing you are only the specific form you are currently inhabiting.
Sticking with the prism analogy, it's the red ray of light, believing it is only red.
And completely forgetting that its source is the brilliant white light.
That explains so much existential dread. We think we are just a localized, differentiated speck, and we forget we are the entire field.
We forget the room outside the microscope.
Exactly. Moving to equation number 3. Love equals coherence, restoring unity.
Love is the active force bringing the fragmented pieces back into resonance.
So if function is the prism splitting the light, love is a second prism gathering all those colors back into a single beam of white light.
It is active resonance.
And finally, equation number 4. Soul Mother equals pre-differentiated wholeness.
The state of absolute unity before the outward bloom began.
The white light before the prism.
This raises an important question, though. The text talks extensively about this return to the Soul Mother.
Right.
What happens when the goddess actually returns? Does creation just disappear?
Does the whole universe just blink out of existence because consciousness stopped looking through the microscope?
Does the clay just smash back into a lump?
Does the whole outward bloom fold up and vanish?
The text addresses this fear directly. It asserts that return does not mean moving backward in time. Return means releasing false identification.
So the goddess does not abandon creation when she returns to origin.
Not at all.
She integrates it. Love becomes the bridge that proves creation and origin were never actually opposed to begin with.
They were always the same thing.
The text says that when love becomes coherent and unpossessive, it instantly collapses fragmentation.
It doesn't destroy the forms.
It destroys the illusion that the forms are separate from the source.
It is the ultimate integration. The outward bloom and the inward root are realized to be the exact same living organism.
The goddess is the matter and she is the void.
She is the function and she is the stillness.
And her love is the bridge between them. Her love is the memory.
That brings us to the final resolution of the text.
The stunning paradox resolution that just stops you in your tracks.
It really does.
After detailing this vast journey of outward dispersion and inward gravitational pull, the text concludes with this line. She only lost herself so that love could become conscious.
She only lost herself so that love could become conscious.
In a state of absolute, pre-differentiated wholeness in the Soul Mother state, everything is one.
But because everything is perfectly one, there is no distance across which love can travel.
There's no other to recognize.
You can't experience the action of gathering inward if you are already entirely gathered.
You can't pull something toward you if it's already perfectly merged with you.
For love to be experienced, for love to be an active, conscious kinetic force, There had to be a perceived separation.
There had to be differentiation.
The infinite had to create the illusion of distance so that it could experience the profound joy of collapsing that distance through love.
It's like a cosmic game of hide and seek, but the stakes are the very existence of love itself.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Let's recap the incredibly rich journey we've taken on this deep dive. We started by dismantling the ancient myths of the fallen divine,
The stories of Sophia and the Shekinah.
recognizing that the goddess and our own consciousness didn't fail by entering the material world. We moved from the illusion of loss to the reality of intense immersion.
We explored how the outward dispersion of our energy into functions and roles makes us feel fragmented.
Turning us into exhausted human calendars. But then we traced the gravitational thread of love, pure, unpossessive, essential recognition, all the way back inward, returning to the pre-differentiated wholeness of the Soul Mother.
We unpack those 4 vital equations.
Learning that return isn't about destroying our lives or smashing the clay back into a lump. It's about integrating the origin with the creation, releasing the false identification that we are separate.
It is an ontological journey from unconscious unity through conscious separation directly into conscious unity.
I want to leave you with a very practical takeaway. The next time you are sitting in traffic or staring at an impossible mountain of emails or feeling totally swallowed up by the heavy demanding roles you play every single day,
The earner, the parent, the manager.
the world builder, I want you to remember this text. Remember that you haven't lost yourself. You haven't failed.
You are just deeply, deeply immersed in the outward bloom of creation.
You are localized, staring intently through the microscope, and your capacity to feel pure, recognizing love for the world around you, is not just a nice emotion.
It is the literal homing signal back to your own center.
It is the gravity pulling you home.
And to leave you with one final, perhaps provocative thought to carry with you. If the infinite cosmos literally had to forget its own boundless nature just to experience the magnificent gravitational journey of remembering through love,
Does that mean our everyday human struggles?
our everyday moments of deep confusion, our isolation, our desperate feelings of being disconnected, does it mean they aren't mistakes at all? What if our deepest pain of separation is actually the exact mathematically necessary prerequisite for love to exist as a conscious force in this universe?
What if your feeling of being lost is the very friction required to spark the light of true recognition?
Something to mull over.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Take these equations, listen to that homing signal, and see how it shifts your perspective this week.
Stay curious.
Keep leaning into the inward route and keep exploring the deeper mechanics of your own reality. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.